Okay, Karen, if you can let me know, Karen, when you're on YouTube, if you can hear Mac in there. Okay, Karen, okay. Mac, if you can count to 5. Yeah, Karen's not hearing sound from you either, Mac. Let me see. Okay, so I don't think I can refresh the room without breaking the connection.
I clicked on it.
Ah, there it is. Can you say something more, Mac?
Something more, Mac?
There we go. Let's see, Karen, can you hear him now?
Can you hear me now?
Probably a few seconds behind.
A few seconds behind. Did she say yes or no?
I think she said anything. Okay, let me look in.
Who knows what evil lurks in the hearts and minds of men?
Only the shadow knows.
Yes.
And I only know that from theater class because that wasn't on radio when I was a kid. It was in the theater though. We used to play recordings. Yep, she says she can hear you now. Okay.
Excellent.
So we're going to go to the opening screen. And Mac, I shared with you the show notes.
Right, 539 is the episode.
Yep. I shared with
last day of June.
Yes. Shared with you the show notes. I'm going to try and keep everything, so many eyes.
And the record button is on.
Record button is on. Thanks for reminding me. It is on. See, the thing is, when I do the audio test where I record and then play it back, I have to shut it off so I can render the audio so I can listen to it. And that's usually where I goof up. Okay. So we'll get to this first screen. We'll do that. And it sits there, and we'll give myself a 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then we'll come in.
Yoo-hoo!
Scuba Obsessed is a weekly podcast. We talk about all things scuba diving, from cool new gear, to places to dive, and scuba to news. Scuba Obsessed. It is. Scuba Obsessed episode 539 is recorded live June 30th, 2022. Welcome back to Scuba Obsessed. What, is that what I say? I don't know if I say. How long has it been? It's been like a month. Welcome back to Scuba Obsessed. I'm Darren Gilson, coming to you from the southwest side of the great state of Michigan, where we're getting ready to move on into a 4th of July holiday, and I am actually above ground. Joining me this week is Mac, the dive mentor. How you doing today, Mac?
Well, so far so good, and if our audio continues to work, we should be good.
Yeah. As I was hearing myself, and I said I'm above ground. Isn't that always what you want to be? It's like
It's a preferred way.
it's preferred is to be above ground. What I'm referring to, and you can tell the backgrounds a little bit. You could say the flag is because of the 4th of July, but this is my son's room that I'm in. I have taken it over, or I should say taken back 22 years ago. This was my office.
And you have now returned.
I have returned. It was my daughter. It was the nursery that my daughter was in. And then when my wife was expecting our son, then we gave her the back bedroom with a walk-in closet. And then my son got this. And then, as you can see, it's been painted orange. We probably did that about 10 years ago.
What is the orange?
What is the orange? I mean, orange.
Why orange?
He just liked the orange. I mean, we gave the kids choices of what they wanted their rooms, and this is what he wanted. It's not bad. Not a bad orange. It's almost like I would call it Home Depot orange. They're not a sponsor, but
They could be.
Yeah. But I am actually above ground. My house has a couple of octagon-shaped rooms, and this is the one that protrudes from the front of the house. I've got like windows on 3 sides, just to, if I hold my arm up, see which screen I'm looking at. Boy, you would think just changing a room wouldn't make you this. See here? Yeah, here. Yeah, you can kind of see there's the curtain, but there's it's kind of like 3 of the sides of the octagon are windows. So it'll be nice. This is going to be my office during the day, my home office. So hopefully, can you hear any noise, Mac? I got an air conditioner running.
I don't hear anything, and I don't see any little animals running across the screen or
no. This should be pretty mouse free. Occasional stink bug. The dogs like it because earlier today I had the door open and they could lay. But I'm kind of excited. I mean, it's a little sad he left this morning about 5 a.m. to head on out to California. Got a friend with him, and they're going to hit a few different spots. And I was talking to my wife, who whenever he has a friend around, she does a background check, as mothers do. And I found out she's a scuba diver. And I feel disappointed because I didn't know about it last night, where I could have harassed her and found out how much diving she does. So,
well, the young lady we had diving with us on Tuesday was from California, and she'll be here a month, and then she'll be to, I think, New York, she said.
New York. I mean, she just stopped here for a month? I mean, what was...
She told me the company she's working with, and basically she goes to different places and checks the quality of the water, basically what kind of bird poop or other poop might be into the waters that she's testing. And then she counts the kind of birds, and I wasn't exactly sure what kind of job that is, but he was in California for 7 years, got trained out there. This was her first, actually number 11 dive, was in Magician Lake. Lots of weeds and not great viz.
Mm-hmm. So was the scuba diving with the club just, I mean, is that related to her work or just because she was here?
She got and found us on the net.
Oh.
Said, hey, get a dive with you guys this Tuesday.
Yeah, very good.
And she showed up.
Now, when you say found on the net, was that the mud club?
I assume it was the Mud Club.
Okay. Well, cool. That's great. Always welcome new people, because we've had people ask before, both the Mud Club and the show, and we're not, charter operators. So, but we are friendly, or mostly friendly, mostly harmless.
Well, yeah, because she didn't travel with a tank. She had her gear, but no tank.
Mm-hmm.
So Big John brought a tank,
Mm-hmm.
and I brought her a flag.
Yeah.
So we had to kit it out pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah, I wonder if if there's some way to set up some sort of network of like local dive groups where you could travel. Kind of an interesting idea.
Be, I think. I don't know of any of our divers who don't have 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 tanks.
We like meeting new people.
Regulators. Yeah, we can kit out anybody.
Yeah. Yeah, I literally think we could kit out somebody who just came. I mean, the wetsuit might be the tough part. But but pretty much just about everything else.
Well, you wouldn't even need a wetsuit this time.
Well, this time of year.
Wetsuit protect you from the muck on the bottom, and that's about it. So.
Yeah, I
even gave her a bottom prod so she didn't have to get her hands too mucky.
Yeah. When you say you don't really need a wetsuit, it reminds me, I saw something online, and it was a name brand wetsuit for women, but it was cut like a very skimpy one-piece suit, and it was 2 mil. And I'm like, can you call that a wetsuit? It had more material than my degraded wet. No, it had less material than my degraded wetsuit. I'm trying to figure out which way. So, well, before we let's go ahead and jump right on into the news. We did have a follow-up from last week. We had, we were asking about the plastics. We talked about the plastics in the water, and you had that one where they're talking about in the blood. And Karen had commented on the video last week, which was on YouTube. Let me see if I can get to the exact note. Studio. Still have to figure out how to do all this navigating the back. Plus, for those who are wondering about Starlink, it's still better than nothing, but you can definitely tell that they've oversold the service. Okay. Comments.
Well, you didn't have a lot of options, so you took what you got. Yeah,
I didn't have anything else until they get the other end. But it's about half the speed we were getting both download and upload just 3 or 4 months ago. So, and in fact, when I did a speed test, because I moved everything upstairs, they were letting me know that I was testing during peak time, which is between 5 and 10 p.m. Like, that's not only peak time, that's about the only time the average person uses the internet, other than for work. So, yeah, they're not lying when they say it's peak time. Now the comment, I read it earlier and it's gone away and I can't find it. I am on there. But if you go to our video, which was episode 538, it's in the comments. Maybe I need to not look as... This is great live podcast material. Trying to go and look for comments. Well, we'll come back to that later. Maybe I'll figure out how to do that. So let's go ahead, like I said, and jump right on into the news. I'm not even editing these anymore, so it just becomes part of the character. Oh, I gotta hit the button. Now that I'm in my full-time, can't call it dive bunker, lair. Does this get named from the dive bunker to the lair? Or command center?
Command center sounds
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, so we'll do that. So it's a command center. This one is from Tribune 242. Guess that must be the area code. Suspected drowning on Exuma diving expedition. Detectives on Exuma are investigating circumstances surrounding the suspected drowning of an American man on Friday. According to reports, shortly before 11 a.m., police on Exuma were informed that an adult male was brought unresponsive to a local marina after a diving expedition. Officers were detached in their arrival on the docking site, and they were directed to a vessel where the man's body was. The victim was examined by the local medical doctor, pronounced dead. Initial investigations indicate that sometime around 9 a.m., a party of 10 had gone on a diving expedition. A short time later, while at the dive site in the area of Rollville, Exuma, the expedition began their goal of reaching a specified depth. During the dive, when the party arrived at the initial designated depth, one of the instructors motioned to the divers for a response. However, the instructor became concerned about one of the divers due to not receiving the appropriate signal for him. The instructor went to the man and discovered he was not fully coherent. Instructions were signaled to all divers to surface. Once on the surface, the man was placed aboard the vessel where he collapsed. A decision was made to return to shore. The coroner was appraised in initial facts this manner. Police will await an official investigation by the next of kin to confirm the victim's identity and an autopsy to determine the exact cause of death. See, I'm trying to find... I'd like to know where this is. I see the car showing Bahamas. So it's Exuma.
The cop car.
Yeah, a cop car showing Bahamas. So, see, is there anything useful in the comments?
No, but I did look that up a little bit. And there was a guy saying that he was going there the next day, got there and asked about it, and they really didn't have any comments. But they asked him for his medical certification, and it identified that he had high blood pressure and cholesterol, and they wouldn't let him dive.
Oh, the other guy who came the next day?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that led some people to believe that he may have had a medical condition, and that's why the day he came, they're really being cautious if you've got any kind of medical condition identified on your medical form.
Well, I mean, we're suit happy, so you're not allowed to take your own risk, so the only way you can take your own risk is by lying. So, I mean, what they're telling you is that if you are honest and say that you have some conditions which may compromise you, they're just going to turn you down. So, you know, I won't say the moral of the story, but really what you're going to have to do is just if you've got high blood pressure, if you've got hypertension, I mean, you have to make the decision if you want to dive, but you're going to need to lie in those forms. Because we've had dive club members who have been turned away either for age or health.
We've had a couple by age, and because if you're over 65, they're not encouraging you to dive with them.
Yeah.
But again, I think a lot of that, as you get older, you pace yourself and you don't do the dives you did 10 years ago.
No, not that I was ever super adventurous, but I am certainly more cautious than I had been.
I've spent most of my last 5 years doing shallow water.
Yeah.
I like the river. I like pawpaw. And I do a lot of metal detecting, which is less than 10 foot.
Yeah. Well, and that was the one thing with this article when they said that they were going to a specific depth. And I'm like, that set out warning signs, but I think what they meant was that was part of the dive training. See,
I understand they were going to 110 feet.
Oh, so that would have been was it a wreck dive then?
Nope. But that's still sport diver.
Well, it is still
130.
it's still sport diver depth, but
Yeah.
to me, you don't dive to hit a depth, you dive to see something or do something. And the exception to that rule would be you're doing it for training because you're getting ready for another dive.
Right.
So just to go in
Or you're doing rescue diver or something.
right. So just to go out there and hit 110, I mean, if you're going to hit 110, come up, make it a good reason. But
Well, it was interesting though that the individual noticed the man was not responsive, even though conscious, and said, "Hey, we're going topside."
mm-hmm.
So that showed they were on top of it.
Well, that's what I thought, because if that's true, and we're assuming that that's true, is that that's what you would expect from a diver. Like if you're in a dive class, like say it's general open water, a lot of them will do a dive on a site where there's a platform, and you'll take the class down to the platform, and that's one of the checks. The first things you do is say, is make everybody give the "I'm okay" sign. And if somebody's not acting right, then you got to call it. And that's kind of what they did.
Yeah.
And they even, he wasn't doing well in the boat, so they made a decision to go to the shore. So.
Yeah.
It's sad. But it does happen.
It would be nice if we had positive feedback. So when we identify that, we could say, this is what I found.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Oh, and then Karen, she said she couldn't paste the comments from last week, but she said essentially, it's hidden back here. It says microplastics found in the bloodstream are the polymers that are ingested and absorbed into the intestine like regular nutrients inhaled. So microplastics tiny, they can cross into the bloodstream in the alveoli. Why can I not say that? I can see it, but the texture in your lungs. So, yeah, glad my daughter's going to med school and it's not me. I've had to jump.
So are we.
Yeah, and then Karen was saying that she's had to jump through a lot of hoops with some places to be able to dive. Signed note from doctor usually does it. Yeah, because what you're doing, and that's another tip. If you're concerned you might be rejected, because from a dive standpoint, if you've disclosed everything and your doctor still says, yeah, I think you're good to go, that's a medical expert. And then that makes the dive operators feel more comfortable that if something did happen, it's like, well, we're not medical experts, but one who said he was, or she, gave him the green light. So, yeah, I like that. That's a good tip. Thanks. So, Vietnam halts scuba diving off popular An Mun Island. They've banned swimming and scuba diving at the popular central tourist spot in an attempt to revive damaged coral reef, officials said. And this said Monday, but I think it's been humming a little bit longer than that. That's July 1st. Wow, it is. So Monday, so that would have been this week. It seemed like I was reading it last week. They were talking about it. The communist nation boasts more than 3,200 kilometers of coastline with crystal clear water, vibrant sea life, sandy beaches that are a huge tourism draw. Coral reefs across the Southeast Asia have been badly hit by global warming, where scientists warn the degradation could have devastating environmental and economic knock-on effects. Recent photos taken off the island about 14 kilometers from the city of, Nha Trang, and a popular divers thanks to its diverse ecosystem, show the reef bleached and damaged. The Bay Management Authority decided to halt swimming and scuba diving activities in the area around the island. In a statement, they said the ban was to evaluate the conditions of the sensitive area so that an appropriate plan to enact the sea conservation area effective on Monday. The ban would last until further notice, they added. Around 60% of the coastline bed in the area was covered by living coral in 2020. A more recent findings showed it shrunk to less than 50%. Previously, local authorities blamed the shrinking ecosystem on climate change, noting powerful storms in 2019 and 2021 had damaged the coral. They also blamed illegal fishing, dredging, construction of industrial parks, and waste disposal. Divers expressed anger over the decision to close the waters. Swimming and diving activities are least influential in the coral reefs compared to other activities. The ecosystem should have recovered after 2 years of pandemic, said diver, and I'm not even going to say the name. We'll call him TNS. Without proper management, the fishing vessel came in and destroyed the seabed, calling the site a rubbish and dead coral during a recent dive. It would take dozens of years for the coral reefs to be restored, so they want to close it throughout. Vietnam's decision follows similar moves in Thailand, which restricted access to Maya Bay, immortalized in the Leonardo DiCaprio film The Beach. Give the local ecosystem chance to recover.
I think that's north of Saigon or Ho Chi Minh City now.
Yeah, that's where that diver was from.
Yeah.
I mean, less activity can help them, but like some were saying, was it the swimming and the scuba diving that was causing the problem?
Out of 3,000, kilometers of shoreline, I don't know. That's a lot of diving.
Yeah.
If they're damaging stuff.
Yeah. So be aware. I mean, that's a good tip for if you're going to a location to dive coral. You might want to check, make sure they're still going to let you do it. I'm sure those hotels will gladly book you.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Come on. Oh yeah, we'll find ways to get you something to do. And we've got tires again.
That's an awesome photo.
Yeah, look at those.
Can you imagine the ecology dive?
Oh gosh. Yeah, this is from June 29th. A photo courtesy of James Tresk, Washington Scuba Alliance. The Washington Department of Natural Resources, the Washington Department of Ecology, the Washington Scuba Alliance are all involved in a team effort to remove the reefs from bodies of water, or remove the reefs. Yeah, we just talked about trying to save the reefs, and here they said remove them, but they're removing tire reefs from around the state. Because Florida had a bunch of those. I didn't realize Washington did too. The group's in the process carrying out a huge task, creating and executing the project to remove the reefs. Some are made up of more than 20,000 tires. It seems like there was a window where a lot of groups were hoping that this would work out, because it's kind of like a win-win. You'd have a way of...
Those are pretty clean tires too. I don't see any growth on them, or very little growth.
Yeah. So they're saying the tire reefs often release small bits of rubber, plastic, and metals in the water that are toxic to sea creatures. And I could see that you're going to get some metals. I think you're going to have them in higher concentrations. I don't know necessarily if all the metals are toxic, but because there's going to be steel belted radials, typically. Also for the bead is going to be a steel cable. I see this. I see this slit, but I'm wondering if maybe what they did when they sunk them down is that maybe it almost looks like they took a circular saw around it, and that's probably let air leak out so they could get them down. At first, I thought they were kind of breaking down, but look how many there are in that barge. Yeah, they're hoping to bring more fish and wildlife around the piers. There's a demand to build fishing piers, so they built them in Seattle, Tacoma, Edmonds. They developed the idea of creating these artificial reefs that would be adjacent to the piers that also provide continuous fishery for people fishing off them. So that's why these reefs were developed. We have around 13 sites that we want to focus on state land. The tire bundles are bound with synthetic rope, and that rope over time breaks. One of the biggest concerns we are finding is they are breaking. So instead of having these contained bundles, they're breaking apart, will spread as single tires around. You can take a picture in the app, logs it, and it sends it to us, and we'll have it in our inventories, helps us plan cleanup projects.
I got some cool pictures in this. That barge is the only way to do salvage, I'll tell you that. That's nice. And videos are excellent.
Yeah. And we have these links in the show notes. We need to get better on the YouTube, because that's where a lot of the content
this is a
there.
real good one for them to take a look at on their own.
Yeah.
I love that one of the tires and stuff. It's called us Tire Reef, the first video. That's cool.
It's like they've got a game controller that they're using for it says removing tire reefs, and the team effort includes staff on board working with divers underwater. I wonder if that's an ROV they're running with that controller. There's some great photos.
Yeah. And the videos are excellent.
A very good article. Learn more about the projects. You've got the website, www.wascuba.org/cleanups, Washington Scuba Alliance. And then there's also the ecology, water, and shoreline pages.
That last video they showed is the underwater sonar. It really shows up really nice when they show those tire formations.
Yeah, wow, you said that last video? That is an hour and 24 minutes, really?
Yep.
Wow, so that's a long one.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to come back and
I think they're averaging 37 minutes for the top one, but they're nice.
look at that right there. They got some growth on them. Look, I mean, there's not a lot.
Yeah, that's pretty good size, because you saw the size of the tires, and those are colorful as heck.
Mm-hmm. Visibility, is this a night dive? Visibility looks pretty poor and it's dark.
It didn't say the depth.
No, I'm gonna have to spend some time with this later on. So, this is a good one. Next one, some more marine debris being removed. Female veterans remove over 3,700 pounds of marine debris from Biscayne Bay National Park. I'm adding words in. I don't see Bay. Biscayne National Park. So the team collected 3,700 pounds of debris, including derelict lobster traps, fishing line, and plastic waste. This year was the second year this project has taken place, but the debris collected was 6 times greater this year. Veterans were sponsored by the National Park Foundation, Wounded American Veterans Experience Scuba Project Waves, a 501c3 nonprofit established to provide opportunities for veterans with service-connected disabilities and their families to experience scuba diving. A veteran mentor from the Woman Diver Hall of Fame also participated in the cleanup. The project is made possible through funding from the National Park Foundation, official charitable partners of the National Park Service. Veterans were part of an all-female National Park Service and partner organization dive team. The staff members from the Submerged Resources Center and Biscayne National Park, as well as University of Miami. The dive boat from the Horizon Divers Scuba Diving Key Largo, Florida, was also crewed by an entirely female team. Each of the Waves project divers has received training as part of the mission-oriented dive program. Qualify to take part, each diver must complete advanced training in the areas of deep diving, limited visibility diving, navigation, proper boat entry and exit techniques, and have made at least 25 dives. This project required bringing large, heavy objects up from the ocean floor, so women were trained in the use of lift bags, the physics involved. In addition to diving skills, the ability to work as a team and learning to rely on your dive buddy are essential aspects of the mission. The veterans came from California, Texas, Florida for a week-long project. At the end of the project, a message that came through loud and clear was expressed by the Navy veteran Charlemagne Cato. It was absolute honor to dive with all you, Wonder Woman. Forever cherish our memories of the past week, and you inspire me to do more, and I promise to change the world. And they've got a couple of videos there as well.
I glanced through a couple of those. Business is not too bad. And it looks like most of that stuff they got is cages and a lot of rope.
Were the ropes related to the cages, you think, or?
I would think so. I blew up the picture so you could take a good shot at it. The picture is pretty nice too when you blow it up.
Oh, I see what the one you're talking about. This one right here.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. That's, yeah, that looks like some wood too.
Yep.
Wood. Yeah, some of that stuff's been there a while. Yeah, nice, great job by them. Get some more of that stuff out. So that's a good haul.
Not as good as the next one.
What you think there might be a little demand for this?
For the next one, yeah.
Yeah, a little cognac. 300 bottles of cognac. This is the dailymail.co.uk. Recovered from a ship sunk in World War I, could fetch nearly 8,000 pounds each. Print shipment on the Swedish steamer bound for the Tsarist Russia ended up at the bottom of the Baltic Sea after a German U-boat strike. A hoard of contraband alcohol recovered from the shipwreck 100 years after it sank is going on sale. Hundreds of bottles were salvaged by a Swedish team in the Sea of, was it Åland, near the Baltic Sea in 2019. The crew found 600 bottles of De Hartmann and Co. cognac and 300 bottles of Benedictine liquor, which remains of the Kairos, which sank in the German submarine May 1917. It is believed the shipment left Bordeaux in 1916 was delayed until spring due to ice in the Gulf of Bothnia. I like the collector's thing they did. The Cognac House.
Oh, that's
Mercantile Hartmann
cool.
Carefully cleaned and refilled the bottles. So there were some bottles that's telling me that they had either collapsed or degraded. So they cleaned and refilled the bottles found within the shipwreck. Yeah, they're showing some of the bottles as they were found in 2019.
Did you read the comments?
No, I haven't gotten that far. I'm just... Yeah, company archives were used to reproduce the original corks, capsules, and labels. Each 1 liter bottle is presented in a gift box, which contains original cork and a photograph of the SS Kairos. At the time discovering the wreck, Peter Lindbergh, who led the expedition group Ocean X, said the conditions of the Baltic are very suitable for storing these kind of beverages because it's dark and very cold. They left Sweden in 1917, sunk to a depth of 77 meters. between Sweden and Finland and with an explosive charge. Who survived was transferred to another vessel before returning to Sweden, according to Ocean X. It says groups located the wreck more than 20 years ago, but lost the position only to discover it many years later. Look at that one there.
Yep.
That's the bottom of the bottle. 4 full bottles were later auctioned to collectors for $45,000 US or 37,000 pounds. In January 2020, one of the surviving bottles was opened at the Polaris Benedictine in a camp northern France, where it was hailed as a pleasant to taste with notes of cocoa, coffee, and mocha.
Yeah.
You think they're being a little generous there?
Yeah.
It was pleasant. I mean, that's not, I mean, is it like, is that like saying somebody has a good personality? It was a pleasant tasting liquor. So, yeah. Well, I can't tell when they refilled, were they refilling it with what was in the bottle, or is it like modern updated versions?
I don't know. They had 127 comments on this.
Oh, wow. Let me go down and take a look at those. I can get down. Where do you
Just scroll all the way down. You'll get the comments.
get the comments? I mean, this is one of those.
One of them says, as a diver who has recovered the odd bottle of booze from a wreck or two, I advise being very careful, as the corks could be compromised and the contents not only ruined, but dangerous. The only thing I ever recovered that was drinkable was a couple of bottles of pink champagne, because the pressure inside kept the seawater out. We tested it for acidity, though, and were very careful before we drank it ourselves.
Ah, I see I see it now. Yeah, let me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and then somebody had the same comment I did. The article says the drinks were refilled. Seems like they're empty when found.
Yep.
It says cognac, like other spirits, does not
drinks,
age.
like champagne and beer, can be okay, as the inside pressure keeps the seawater out until the cork totally rots, but needs to be tested for drinking. Interesting. Be fun to find them anyway.
Yeah. Oh no, I don't think I'm paying $8,000 for a bottle though.
No. Now, if it had Titanic, just that, and the provenance with it,
yeah,
that may be worth something.
And maybe this has a little bit more, like, I guess something like this, if you're into that, like if you had some tie to the shipwreck, or to the area where it happened, or to that particular brand of alcohol. I mean, they did a good job presenting. Let's go back and show that case. I mean, that's nice. That's a nice collector's case. And I don't think they're really anybody's buying this to drink it, would you say? Because especially if they refilled it, whatever they refilled it with, just buy the refill. You'd probably go down to the liquor store and get that. So yeah. Hey, trying to come up with some way to get them back, get some of their investment. And then that's not there. It's not. This one, the title threw me off a little bit. I thought it was going to be a little bit about some gold. So it says, Newfound Gold Marine Institute for further investigates World War II plane crash at Gander Lake. Further underwater probes are planned after a team conducting hydraulic survey of the Gander Lake on behalf of Newfound Gold. I said Newfoundland. I'm just making up words now. With the help of Marine Institute survey discovered a plane crash. The ghostly image is what's believed to be RCAF B-24 Liberator bottom that was picked up using the Marine Institute's portable multi-beam echo sounder survey equipment. The plane was located with the help of previous search efforts and extensively researched in 1943 incident. Next step is to investigate the site further with towed side scan sonar, some tech diving with camera footage to positively identify the plane. Aviation history and former Gander Town Councilman Frank Thibault wrote about the crash, which claimed the lives of 4 men. Only the body of squadron leader John Mackenzie was recovered. He buried in Gander Commonwealth's War Grave Cemetery. News of discovery was posted to the Shipwreck Preservation Society's Facebook page by Kurt Regular, who credited Tony Merkel's extensive knowledge of the subject for helping to locate the crash site. Interesting side scan.
Now Gander Lake is located in the central part of the island of Newfoundland, in the Canadian province of Newfoundland and Labrador. The average depth of that lake is 346 feet.
So it's a lake on an island?
Yeah, and the max depth is 945 feet.
Yeah, it is a heck of a lake then.
That's a heck of a picture.
Yeah.
Yeah, the 9,670,000 acre foot is the water volume. That's a good picture.
Yeah. And then this just happened this week. This is being reported Smithsonian Magazine, and there was a lot of other sources for the same article. What they're saying is that it's the world's deepest shipwreck discovered 4 miles underwater in the Philippines. It's a U.S. destroyer that was sunk during World War II. What is that?
It was sunk in the Battle of Leyte Gulf.
Yeah. The USS Samuel B. Roberts, known as the Sammy B, was discovered in the Philippine Sea at the depth of 22,916 feet, which is also a heck of a lot deep in meters as well. Would that be about a little over 7,000 meters? So the wreck is the deepest ever found, according to the Associated Press. The Navy confirmed the wreck in a statement on Monday. Explorer and former naval commander Victor Vesco of Canadian Oceanic Expeditions found the ship along with IOS Expeditions, a UK-based exploration company. Victor, we could do an episode on him. He'd be somebody would be interesting to have come on. Didn't he just do one of the like he did because he's gone deeper than anybody else has gone before. And then I think he just did a rocket ride with Blue Origin recently.
You got the money.
Yeah. Yep. But he's got his own underwater sub. It was an extraordinary honor to locate this incredibly famous ship, and by doing so, having a chance to retell her story of heroism and duty to those who may not know the ship and her crew's sacrifice, he said in a statement. Sammy B was the first ship named after coxswain Samuel Booker Roberts Jr., who was killed in World War II during the Battle of Guadalcanal in 1942. For the Navy, Roberts took part in the mission to rescue the company and had been surrounded by Japanese forces steering his boat directly into the fire, provide time and cover for the rescue ship. His ship was hit, and he was mortally wounded in the process. The ship bearing his name, John C. Butler, class destroyer, the type of escort ship, was commissioned in 1944, was sunk by Japanese forces during the Battle of Samar later that year. The two other ships, another destroying frigate, were also named later after USS Samuel B. Roberts. During the Battle of Samar, a small U.S. Navy force successfully defended against vast superior Japanese central force, consisting of 4 battleships, 6 heavy cruisers, 2 light cruisers, 11 destroyers, including the largest, most heavily armed battleship ever constructed, the Yamato. Rescued crew members were forced to clean the wreckage of the water for up to 50 hours, according to BBC News' Jathan Amos.
I was looking at one of the underwater pictures. It says, her bow hit the seafloor with some force, causing buckling. Her stern also separated about 5 meters on impact, but the whole wreck was together.
Yeah, 6,985 meters. So
I'd like to have that sonar they used. We could probably find a lot there on Lake Michigan.
oh yeah, he's got some. I almost hate to even call them toys. Tools, invested resources.
Whoa! Did you look at the pictures of this?
Different. I mean, than the ones I have in the article. You find some more.
I don't know. Let me figure out where I'm at. There's some cool stuff.
I think you're someplace I'm not.
Well, this is a head-on shot of the bow, and it looks in good shape. And then the whole section of the top superstructure, I mean, it looks like it's pristine. That's nice.
Well, you figure it was brandy new when it went down.
Well, that picture is awesome.
Let's see.
Where the heck am I at here?
What's the website?
Victor Vesco on Twitter. I went over to.
Are you on Twitter?
No,
Okay.
there's a picture on this other part. But also pictures, damn.
Well, you got to tell me where they are. I can't go and look if you don't. It's like teasing. Like it's like having a big chocolate cake and then it's like,
Yeah, I wish you could have some.
Yeah. Got some here.
I'm trying to figure out how to send you a note.
Every article I find has got the same photos. I'm not seeing anything different.
Oh. How do I send you a photo?
I mean, do you have a URL to the photo?
Oh. Well, how do I send that to you?
Okay, well, you go into our super secret chat room. There should be a little.
Transfer any file to the group?
Now, you don't need to do the file. If you got a URL, did it pop up a message? I said hi.
I don't see anything.
Um,
Darn it.
let's see.
Well, we'll just have to show you the
Yeah.
picture later, but it is good.
I'll have to take your word for it. Well, that was the last article we had. We had quite a few this week. So, well, that does it for Scuba in the News. I'd like to thank everybody who's been listening, tuning in. We're going through some adjustments on where things get edited. So I am off tomorrow. I'm not working, so I'm hoping I'm going to be able to get caught up.
How do you mean you're off?
I took it off. Yeah. I took it off But then I took it off because I got to work someplace else. Redbud is doing their Redbud Track and Trail as a national motorcycle event, and my son's friends with the owners, and they're like, is there any way you guys could help us out? So we're going to go, and my wife and I are going to go work and sell pit passes. So that'll be tomorrow afternoon. So I guess I'm off in the morning. So by the time I wake up and get ready, I should have a whole hour before going someplace. So have we heard of anybody getting any diving in?
Well, we had the Thankful Tuesday dive at over there in Sister Lakes, Magician.
Okay, good.
So say Big John was there, Kurt, and we had I think it was Amy and myself. Jim Schultz showed up and dropped off the O2 kit. We decided since I'm sort of central to the big lake, I'm going to go ahead and handle the O2 kit and the AED for anybody who needs it, especially going out on the boat for wreck diving. The water was very warm. No hood, no gloves needed, unless you wanted to keep the silt from getting in your ears.
Yeah.
And right now, I think we're tentative for the river next Tuesday. It's either going to be Niles or it's going to be Fisherman's Park in Benton Harbor.
Excellent.
My preference is going to be Niles, so I hope it's good.
Yeah.
We don't have the boat traffic there.
Yeah. Has there been much river traffic this year?
It's not been traffic so much as just brown water. And most people don't like the brown zero vis water. And we have not dove Fisherman's Park for 3 years.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
COVID kicked our butt for turkey dives. I'm waiting to see what this new species coming out of Portugal. It's Route 5 or something. It says the boosters and stuff that we all had ain't going to be effective.
Yeah, that's Yeah, Karen says I have the AED. I'll be taking my boat out Sunday.
Where's she going?
We'll find out when she answers. Did you see, and then we didn't cover it in the news, but Illinois is trying to rebrand the Asian carp, the Kopi.
Why?
Because carp has a negative connotation. And they're saying that the Asian carp is not like the carp that we're familiar with. Carp we're familiar with is a bottom feeder. They said the Asian carp is a top and surface feeder. It's the most commonly eaten freshwater fish in the world.
The other aspect is you can commercially catch that and make cat food.
Yeah, and that's what they're trying to do. They're saying for humans and also for people. Michigan opted out and said, no, we're not rebranding it because it's going to confuse people. And Michigan is very adamant that possessing an Asian carp in Michigan is illegal unless you have gilled it and there was something else you had to do to it. So basically,
what Chicago's hedging because they didn't block the river, did not block the ingress, and they know the carp are there, and we're screwed.
The article I was reading said, oh, well, there's a 10-year project to erect a barrier And it's going to be 2 years before they decide what barrier they're going to erect. Because all the states have agreed they're going to pay for it. So that's Michigan, Illinois, Indiana, and I might maybe Wisconsin are all in on it. That they're going to pay for it, but it's like, is there any way to make this go any slower?
Yeah.
I think we've been covering this for 6 years now.
Well, there is another 2 species of carp in Lake Erie, but they have not migrated up the or not St. Lawrence, but up towards Huron or anything yet.
Mm-hmm.
Must be like they like the shallow waters of Erie and the toxic
Yeah, I mean,
blooms they have there.
There's all sorts of toxins. What's not to like? Anytime you can have a lake that can light on fire. I know.
It's been a while since the river was on fire.
Too hard not to keep bringing that up. It's great. I mean,
yes.
Of all the Great Lakes, I've spent the least amount of time in Erie, though. And I've only spent moderately more time in Superior.
I think I've only got 2 or 3 dives in Erie.
I don't think I've ever dove in Ontario that I'm aware of. But, Michigan and Huron, tons.
Yep.
Tons in both of those.
Well, you get up to Mackinac, you got them both.
Oh yeah, we're in Huron and Mackinac, aren't we? Yeah, because I used to do a lot in Saginaw Bay. I used to do a lot of sailing there. Do you have a dive safety story for this week?
Well, I always like to go to the Dan Network and see what they got. And we've talked about this before. Never too experienced to refresh skills. So the story was, my brother and I completed many dives together, and we know what to expect from each other. My brother probably has 400 plus dives and regularly assists with dive classes. I've been certified since I was 14, and I'm now 61. The last 10 years, I started diving a lot and probably have 200 dives logged, 17 this year. One day we're diving in a lake. Our plan was to keep the maximum depth to 35, 40 feet. And we stayed at 30 to 35 most of the time. Visibility at my depth was 8 to 10 feet. I started with 3,000 pounds in my tank. My brother had 2,400. We were 36 minutes into the dive when my brother indicated he was low on air. Looked at his gauge, said 300 psi. Wanted to breathe all my tank down to stay longer, so I had more air than him. I have a BCD with an alternate regulator integrated into the inflator. This is pretty short, so I figured it'd be easier for me to give him my regular regulator. So I did. Took a solid breath, handed it over, grabbed my BC integrated regulator, blew out first, took a normal breath in. Oops. This is where the dive went wrong and turned to 90 seconds of panic. I assumed I had cleared the water, but didn't. My first breath, I inhaled water. This caused a choking reflex, which left me with little to use to clear the oxygen. The second breath was half water, not enough air to survive. At that moment, I thought about shooting for the surface. Understand what that would have meant. Tried one last time to clear and breathe. This time I received enough air to start working out the problem. I was still choking from the inhaled water, but no longer in danger of drowning. At this point, we went for the surface. After reaching the surface, I told my brother what had happened. He asked, "Why didn't they just take back my rag?" I said I was afraid that they didn't have enough breath left to clear it. And I felt my best chance was to work it out with what I had. Then he said, "Well, why didn't I just tap the purge button?" This was a comment that made me turn white. Why didn't I do that? The answer is I Hadn't trained for it in a long time, and it never occurred to me. I assumed sharing air would be second nature, and I had no concerns about the situation till it became critical. It was a life lesson learned that we must all practice the basics because the basics are never forgotten. I'd forgotten the basic life-saving skill that nearly caused a drowning, as that was inexcusable. Had my brother been out of air and I shot to the surface, it would have been catastrophic for both of us. We took a 45-minute break, did another dive with new tanks, which I'm glad I did because getting back in the saddles, so to speak. So the comment from Dan was several lessons to be learned from this scenario. When clearing any alternate air source, it may take multiple exhalations to fully clear the device. When taking that first breath after attempting to clear, remember to take the breath very cautiously. Some divers will just take a small breath and see if it breathes wet or not. Others will put their tongue in the roof of their mouth, prevent any residual water in the regulator from hitting their windpipe. There's some additional considerations when dealing with an alternate air source that's integrated into a BCD. My key, of course, is at 300 pounds, they should have been going up,
Yeah,
not
that's
hanging down.
way too.
It says, while some buddy teams may desire to extend their dive by breathing off the cylinder of the diver with the most gas, this is not recommended. Primary reason for this is with two people breathing off the same cylinder, gas consumption increases significantly, and in the event of an emergency or another emergency, there is less gas for one, let alone two. Main takeaway of the scenario can be from the driver's statement, hadn't trained for it or retrained. By it, meaning use the purge button to clear the regulator. Could be that he was taught this method, but it had been so long since that technique was used, it slipped his memory, or in fact, he might not have ever been trained for it. Regardless, reviewing essential skills like clearing your regulator, sharing air, should be practiced with some regularity, especially when using new, unfamiliar equipment. It should be part of any dive plan.
Mm-hmm.
That's true. Now, with 300 pounds, you normally are already up on the surface.
Yeah, I mean, other than really shallow river dives and you're coming in, I don't think I've ever gone. I think the worst I've ever done, I think I've done down to 100 once. But
at 35 feet, are you going to horse around?
No, I'm
not either. It's like not even going to think about it.
No, I mean you're in the atmosphere down there, and while you can do an emergency ascent from 35 feet, I don't want to.
I just don't know what he was thinking at 300 pounds to, let me stay down a little longer.
Yeah.
Nah.
Yeah, that 300, when you start getting that low, it's usually because you got distracted and didn't look.
Well, remember, he started with 2,400.
But
he started low.
I mean, you're starting low, but I mean, you just have to be aware of it and do a shorter dive.
Yes. Not that I'll dive off my buddy's tank.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no gold involved, so why do that?
I don't think we've
heard. Isn't that true? Even in the river where we're in 5, 6 feet of water, you never find that damn bottle until you got 500 pounds left.
Oh, yeah. Oh, the good stuff.
You still got to get across the river. And you're always like, God, I want to take a little more.
Well, if it's that good a bottle, you can just hug the other side and walk, head to a bridge.
Yeah, tie your flag off to the site, go back over, get some more tanks, come back over.
Yeah. Who was it who used to have the boat down there in Niles? Was that John?
Yeah, Big John took his, and Jim would bring the Zodiac sometime.
Yeah.
When we did a few of the drift dives, Jim came down with the Zodiac to be safety,
Yeah.
which is very nice.
John's got so many boats. I always keep, it's like, I almost feel like they're different Johns. You remember people by the boat, but he's had a mess of them over a while.
Well, he fixes them up and uses them.
Yeah.
I like that red one. That's great for the river.
Yeah. Where does he have the time?
Well, he's almost got his pilot's license. He's cleared to solo.
He's got a pilot's license now.
Oh yeah. Actually, we went out yesterday. We did some high-speed taxiing up and down the runway. Give him some experience in my plane.
There you go. Well, gotta do something with all that HVAC money he's getting. Like everybody assumes that anybody who's got a business is rolling in it, but he's a great guy. Very helpful.
He's a jack of many trades.
Yes. Yeah. Oh. Let's see, we got anything else we need to plug before we get on out of here?
Well, everybody have a safe and sane 4th of July. If you're going to play with fireworks, you don't light them in your hand and throw them. You light them on the ground and walk away. And you don't play games with the Roman candles.
Yes. Yep. You want to keep all your fingers. And it is dry. The horses tonight were running in the front pasture, and it looked like a tornado of dust. So
I mowed my lawn the other day, and I got in the front, and I couldn't even breathe. Went in, finally got so I could breathe, put on the mask like we've been using. Made a hell of a difference.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of dust, and I've got a couple parked vehicles that I haven't run in a couple weeks, and they're getting quite dirty. A lot of dirt on them. So
Got to get you out there on
I know.
Thankful Tuesday.
I know. I feel like I can see the light at the end of the tunnel. You know, my project list is I'm slowly knocking them out, and they're not as many being added on.
And that light at the end of the tunnel, though, you hear that whistle. That's a train.
It's coming for me. Yeah. Well, the robotics we're taking July off, so I don't have any robotics during July. And what we were hoping was that we would be moving into our new robotics center during July, so we didn't want any distractions. But the new building that Berrien Springs has built didn't pass an inspection.
What?
Yeah. So they're now looking at August or September to get in there. The rumor I'm hearing is that they've got to get a crane in, lift the air conditioning off, do some work, and then put everything back on. So
I don't know. Before you know it, you're going to be selling corn dogs at the fair in August. So you're going to be out again.
Yeah.
That'll get you wet this year, buddy.
Yeah. Yeah.
I got some of that seal stuff. I'm going to spray your suit.
Yeah. Yeah. I have to. Yeah. We got to do something. So it's July 4th this weekend. Hard to believe. So Karen says, in some incredibly local news, Michael Moran has been appointed the harbor master for the city of St. Joe.
I saw that.
Yep. And then she is going out of St. Joe to watch the fireworks, to answer your question of what she was doing.
That'd be cool to do that in a boat if the weather's good. That's great.
Berrien Springs, we used to launch fireworks out over Lake Chapin. And nothing beat being out there in the water. And no obstructions. You just needed to give it some time. Now we had the family had a dock, so we were able to move over to the dock. So We didn't get the crunch at the ramps to try and get in and out of our marina. So, well, are you ready?
Heading down.
Okay. A man is suffering from the worst headaches. From about age 14, the man has been getting more and more intense headaches. They started mildly annoying, but have been consistently getting worse month after month, year after year. Finally, after about 7 years of troublesome headaches turning into bothersome headaches, turning into debilitating headaches, the man decides it's time to seek medical intervention. Yes, he's a typical man, and he waited 7 years before seeing a doctor about something that could easily be fixed. Unfortunately, after a gamut of testing, his physician was stumped. No clue why headaches persisted, so the physician referred the man to several different specialists, determined the root cause of the headaches. After a while, the headaches continued to increase in frequency and intensity. The man saw a neurologist, nothing. Saw a cardiologist, nothing. Saw an endocrinologist, nothing. Several specialists later, the man ended up in a urologist's office. To an exam later, the urologist came to the man's room with good news and bad news. As always the case, his condition is finally pinpointed. The urologist explained to the man the headaches were caused by swelling of his testicles, which put pressure on the spinal column that caused the headaches. The bad news is that the only remedy to the situation was full castration. The urologist offered the man to think over the cause and remedy and get back to him. Having lived with the debilitating headaches for so many years, the man immediately opted for the surgery. He just couldn't fathom living any longer with the headaches, even if it meant he had to have his components removed. With the intense headaches, he wasn't utilizing them anyhow. The surgery is scheduled for the next day, and the man could not wait to live a life free of headaches that plagued him for so many years. The surgery was uneventful. Everything went as planned, and the man released a few hours later. As he was walking home, he just didn't feel like the man he used to. Being a bit down, he figured he'd buy a new suit. That'd help him feel like a man again. He walked in a suit store and was greeted by a very friendly, knowledgeable employee. The man explained the situation, told the employee what suit he was looking for. The employee immediately grabbed the jacket and said, "Here, this is a 44M. Should fit you well." The man put the jacket on, surprised how well it fit. Thus, he complimented the employee for his knowledge. Humbly, the employee stated, "It's my job. I know sizes and what works well." The employee offered the man a pair of pants, heading to the man a size of 34-30. The man was again aghast. The employee found the exact fit, and again it was humble to say that he did this day in and day out. The employee handed the man a dress shirt, 17.5 3/4 inches, which surprisingly fit very well. The top button was not tight around the man's neck. The sleeves fit perfectly under the jacket. The man was just floored as to the knowledge of the employee. The employee remained humble throughout, explaining that he measured men day after day and had gleaned an eye for the sizes. The last part of the suit, the employee bought out a pair of underwear to complete the outfit. The employee brought out a large size underwear. The man was now completely adamant that the employee was finally wrong. "Ha," said the man, "I wear a size medium underwear." "I finally got you wrong," the employee kindly retorted to the man. "Should definitely wear a large size underwear." "Absolutely not. I wear a medium. No chance I wear a large. You're finally wrong. Just admit it." The employee was not going to tolerate the man's insistence that he wore a medium and explained softly to the man, "I promise you, sir, you wear a large size underwear. If you were to wear a medium, it would push your testicles into your spine and cause massive headaches." Yeah.
Too little, too late.
Story of life sometimes.
That would suck big time.
I think that's well, I was going to say second opinion. He had a lot of opinions. I guess he just didn't start with the right ones.
I know you would think he'd feel good when he's in the shower.
Right. Yeah.
You know, a little bit obvious. Come on, people. You can always live in the shower. Well, a lot.
So on that note, go out there and get wet.
And change your underwear.
You change them a little bit.
Don't forget to plan your dive have your plan, and stay safe. If you don't do it for yourself, do it for your family and the people on shore waiting for you.
Ta-da. I would be pretty ticked.
You out because you wouldn't have your drawers on.
Yeah. Karen in the chat room is pointing out that I'm sure physically impossible for testicles to compress the spine. Oh,
Well, I don't know. He might have had a pair.
what? Yeah. Well,
You bad. You bad.
yeah, we're bad.
Actually, you've been getting a couple of good ones in there.
Yeah. I like the ones that kind of go on a little too long. I don't know. It's just the dad in me, I guess, is what it is. Because not only the joke not good, but you took a long time getting there.
Well, I'm going to leave.
Okay. Yep. Yeah, I need to. Yeah, work has just been kicking my butt, but we're getting down there.